Hello, in today's foundation roundup, I have 6 new foundations to review and give you my thoughts on. I have different types of foundations for all skin types. I'll be showing you how they apply, what they look like on my skin, and how they wear, as well as my experiences and thoughts, and what skin types I think would benefit the most from each. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. I review and test foundations and concealers and various face products because I'm in my mid-40s and it just gets harder and harder to find the right products the older we get. So let's see how these foundations worked or didn't work for me so you can decide if they might work for you. If this is your first time seeing a foundation roundup from me, you should know I don't do first impressions. I always test foundations for several days under different conditions using different methods, different primers, sometimes different powders, because things can change day to day and sometimes it can take a while to get a verdict, especially when you have combination skin that gets oily, shiny in the T-zone and is more normal, dry around the perimeter like mine is. And also, I like to try and figure out who these foundations might work best for, even if they don't work for me. I will have the links to all the primers and powders that I normally use when I test in my description box, along with the foundations I'm sharing today and what I'm wearing, as I always do. So I'm going to start with one of the most requested foundations from you. I say one of because there are several in this video. So this is the Gucci Éternité de Beauté 24-hour full coverage luminous matte foundation. This retails for $69 for 1 ounce. There are 40 shades. I'm in the shade 220W, which you'll see on my skin here in a minute. It's described as fair medium with warm undertones. So this is supposed to have these high affinity skin powders and coated pigments with this high performance polymer technology that lets your skin breathe while it gives you up to 24-hour wear. It's supposed to stay on all day without budging or fading and be sweat proof. It has hyaluronic acid and black rose oil for hydration and bamboo powder to absorb shine all day long. This is a runny formula and you can see it does not match. It is pretty yellow. I probably should have gone more neutral, but when you order things, sometimes you don't always get a perfect match. I normally do pretty well with light, medium, neutral, or light, medium, neutral leaning warm tones if you think you're my foundation shade match twin. I also have my foundation shade match list that I keep updated over on my blog, linked down in my description box all the time. I know a lot of you use it as a reference, so just know 220W, too yellow. This adheres to your skin very quickly as you apply it. So I find it's best to work very quickly and in sections and thin layers. Very similarly to how I recommend applying Estee Lauder Double Wear, even though that is quicker and easier to apply than this. If you're not familiar with that method, that is very easy once you know how to do it. I will link my how to apply Estee Lauder Double Wear without looking cakey video up here in the corner and down in the description box. I know it's helped tons of you out. So the first time I applied this, even though I applied it that way, I didn't have a primer on and it was kind of a disaster. It didn't adhere to some parts of my face at all. It just left them blank. It would not stick and it seemed to sink down into the pores of other areas that it applied to and it just looked really cakey. It was pretty much a disaster. I had to completely wash my face off and start over. I have no idea why it did that. I didn't do anything weird with my skincare that day. I let it sink in fully like I always do. No matter if I'm applying this with or without a primer, I find it's just kind of finicky. Some days it applies pretty easily and seamlessly, and other days it just takes longer. It's kind of finicky. Some days, in order to get it to look really smooth on and around my nose, I struggle more than others. I don't know why that is. There's no real rhyme or reason for it. There is a strong floral scent to this foundation. I know that is going to be important for a lot of you to know. I do think this gives solid medium full to full coverage depending on how you build it. Now I can kind of feel this on my skin. I don't think it's super lightweight and breathable the way it's described. I just can kind of feel it. This seems pretty matte when I first apply it and set it. I don't think it stays extremely matte during the day. It does turn into that luminous matte finish as my natural oils start to come through. Without a primer, I actually get kind of shiny with it during the day. Now, I mentioned with or without a primer. There are days when I apply it and it looks really nice and natural and I haven't used a primer or I've used a specific primer. I can go back in with that same primer or without a primer and it will look not really that great. It won't apply well around my nose, or it'll look great in the morning and then in the afternoon it'll kind of start to not look that great. Now, with or without a primer, it lasts well all day long. That's one thing that's very consistent with this foundation, is that it does stay pretty budge free all day. So no matter what, no matter how it looks, whether it looks great or it looks not so great or it looks pore enhancing, whatever's going on that day, it's lasting. Another thing that I will say is that I don't think this really does anything for my pores. I was fully expecting this to be just a super smoothing, flattering foundation, and I didn't get that. I feel like if you have dry skin, you're gonna have some issues with this picking up on texture, especially with how quickly it adheres to your skin. And if you have texture or mature skin, this, for me, just kind of sank into those areas most days, or started to enhance them as the day went on. I just had to struggle with this foundation a lot, and if I'm spending $70 on a foundation, I want it to be perfect, and this isn't. Next up, we have the new foundation release from the flawless face queen herself, Laura Mercier. This is the Laura Mercier Real Flawless Weightless Perfecting Foundation. Now keep in mind, when we're talking about foundations and how they look and apply and wear throughout the day, there are a lot of factors that come into play, and that's why when you're watching all of these foundation reviews and you're seeing different perspectives, a lot more goes into it than just different skin types. The skincare we use in the morning matters, but sometimes the skincare at night can carry over. Skin chemistry itself, skin type, yes, also the climate we live in and the amount of humidity. There are just a lot of factors that come into play. So all you can do as a consumer is just take the information you're given and draw your best conclusion from that. So I just wanted to say that really quickly, because I watch reviews too for products and sometimes it can be really confusing. So this retails for $48 for 1 ounce. There are 30 shades. I'm in shade 2W2 Warm Linen, which is described as light with warm undertones. I actually think my match would have been closer to Cashew, which is light with neutral undertones. I ordered the shade that I did because I've tried Cashew in another one of her foundations and it was a little bit too light. But this is a little bit too warm for me, so I actually think Cashew in this particular foundation would have worked. Can I just comment on this bottle really quickly? I love the frosted glass, love the oval shape. It's just a nice, pretty bottle. I don't think we've seen a shape like this before, and I like it. This is vegan, non-comedogenic. It's supposed to be suitable for all skin types, and I don't notice a fragrance at all. This is designed to blur the look of imperfections, fine lines, and pores, while improving skin tone and texture both immediately and over time. It has high-resolution pigments and 3D smoothing priming powders that are supposed to give perfecting cake-free coverage, 12-hour wear, and you're supposed to be able to use less product because of those pigments. It also has blurring bamboo silk powders and a hydrolipid matrix that balances moisture and shine control to keep your skin in balance. And it has camellia seed, vitamin E, and cacao extract, which are antioxidant rich. So you have quite a few good ingredients in this foundation. This has a fairly thin consistency that applies and blends out very well using either a brush or a sponge. You know, I used to be matched to Laura Mercier foundation so well back in the day when she had shade names like Sunny Beige. You remember that? That was a long time ago, but she's doing her new foundations now, and I've never found my perfect shade match. Not yet anyway, but I keep trying because I've had nice success with her formulas so far. I would say the coverage of this is on the medium side, but because it's blurring, it almost seems like it's more, and it gives a very natural finish. While it feels extremely lightweight, it's smoothing and flattering even without a primer, although it does last longer with a primer in my shine prone areas. I would say if you have normal or dry skin, you may not need a primer. I don't have to blot much with this. I do need to blot a little bit more if I'm not wearing a primer. That's normal, especially for where I live in this hot, humid environment. I would say if you're extremely oily, you may want to wear a primer. My T-zone is more on the moderate side of things, so I can just kind of choose what I'm in the mood for that day, or based on how my weather is. If it's extremely hot, I might need one, but if it's, you know, just a moderate day, I'm okay without it. This wears really nicely all day for me. And I do think it's a really nice, really flattering, natural foundation for any skin type, any age, even mature skin. I was very happy with this one. For me, this has been another nice release from Laura Mercier. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, I keep having to blot the shine from my face because I'm in the midst of testing another foundation for my upcoming foundation roundup, and it's not going so well. So if you're wondering what's on my face, I'm not sure if I'm going to tell you today. I'll probably reveal that with the next foundation roundup, but it doesn't look like this one's going to be a good one. Makeup Revolution released their reformulation of their HD Skin Matte Velvet Undetectable Longwear Blurring Powder Foundation. Why are all of these foundation names so atrociously long? So this is $43 for 0.3 ounces. There are 24 shades, and I picked up the shade that I was in the old version, which is 2N22, which is described as nude light to medium skin tones with neutral undertones. I remember having a pretty good match before, and this is not a good match for me. This is darker and more yellow. So they say this is supposed to be lightweight with medium to medium full coverage. It's supposed to have a silkier texture and melt into your skin and be more versatile and more buildable than ever, so that you can use it for setting powder, for touch-ups, or as a foundation. It's supposed to be waterproof and sweatproof and lock in hydration and just be very comfortable overall and blur the look of imperfections and mattify for up to 24 hours for a natural real skin finish. I like to apply this with a brush and then pat it in with a sponge so that it gives me a natural real skin finish versus a powder finish. I usually use a beauty blender type of sponge because I like the rounded edges. I would say the coverage of this is buildable from medium to medium full, and it does feel lightweight. I noticed very quickly right when I started applying this that this did not seem as natural or as smoothing on my skin as the previous version. It didn't seem as airbrushed on my skin with or without a primer. Although it lasts on my skin really well, like it's supposed to. I do get shine breakthrough about 3 hours in, and I can see some more texture. And at about 6 hours in, I just look really greasy. It does this even when I wear a primer. I know the name on here is Matte Velvet, but this is not velvety for me. This is very luminous. I really wasn't expecting that, especially upon application. I thought it was going to be more powdery looking. It was going to stay matte longer throughout the day. Now, I do get shine breakthrough sometimes with powder foundations. This could be unique to me. I don't know. I definitely don't like this as much as the previous formula, which is a theme that I have going with a lot of these reformulations that are coming out now. I have tested this out many days, but if I try it again and change my verdict, I will let you know. We've been hot here for a while now, so who knows, once the weather changes, I could change my tune. What skin types do I think this could be good for? I don't know, because when I applied it, I kind of thought dry skin wouldn't like it, yet I get oily with it. So maybe normal? Are you normal skin people liking this new version? Let me know in the comments about any of these. Are you liking them, not liking them? What skin type do you have? Are there new foundations or concealers that I need to check out for my upcoming foundation or concealer reviews? Sometimes things slip by me that you guys let me know about, so let me know those in the comments. Look how yellow that is. I might be the only beauty person here on YouTube or TikTok that did not try the original KVD Good Apple foundation. I don't know why. I figured I wouldn't like it. I didn't try it. I think when I originally tried, it was viral and it was out of stock everywhere, and then I just gave up because the hype was kind of over, and I figured I wouldn't like it anyway. Do you think I should try it? Should I go back and try it? So now we're here at the KVD Good Apple Full Coverage Transfer Proof. What's the full name? Transfer Proof Vegan Serum Foundation. It's in this kind of ornate slim bottle. It retails for $42 for 1.01 ounce. There are 40 shades. I'm in shade medium 027, which is described as being for light to medium skin with neutral undertones. This is too light for me. I am completely striking out with shade matches in this video so far. That almost never happens to me. I don't know what it was with this particular foundation roundup. This is cruelty-free and vegan and is a full coverage serum foundation. This has flexible elastomer pigments that blend and bend with your skin that are supposed to give you a natural, seamless finish to cover everything and blur pores while looking natural and lasting through sweat and humidity and wear wearing for a long time. So this is somewhat thick and sets pretty quickly, kind of like we talked about earlier when we were discussing the Gucci foundation, but it doesn't set that quickly. I still recommend applying it in thin layers, in sections, and building only where needed. And this can give medium to full coverage depending on how you build it. A little bit goes a long way. Please ignore the fact that I look like a corpse because this is so light and my dark circles are just out in full force. This feels extremely lightweight. I was actually surprised by that because of how well it covers. I'm really impressed with how well this covers while looking natural and not cakey or heavy. It's smoothing and flattering and gives a nice natural matte finish. It's not a flat matte. Now this particular clip is from about 6 hours. The sun was setting, so it's not in the best light, but I will say this does wear really well throughout the day and it continues to look nice and hold up really well. I was really impressed with this and I was not expecting to be. I would love to have a shade match actually. Right now I've been mixing it with my de-bronzy drops from Drunk Elephant to deepen it up a little bit. I just add a drop or two and it helps deepen it just enough, and I can always add bronzer. Now I do think this could potentially pick up on some dryness if you have extremely dry skin. I think oily to normal skin could really like this. The key for me has been to use a damp sponge and going in with light layers. It just looks really beautiful and natural and flattering. It has been great for long days. I think it's going to work really nicely in the summer. We have a new foundation from Saie. This is the Glowy Super Skin Lightweight Hydrobounce Serum Foundation. This is $40 for 1 ounce. There are 36 shades. I'm in shade 7. This is light with neutral undertones. I would actually like to try shade 10, which is light to medium with neutral undertones. I was sent from Saie shades 6 and 7, and 7 works best, but it's a little bit light for me. This is cruelty-free and vegan. This is supposed to be a lightweight serum foundation comprised of 85% skincare and 15% weightless pigment. They also launched this brush, which I just talked about in my monthly favorites and fails that I've really been enjoying. So if you want more information on this, be sure and check out my monthly favorites and fails for other products too, because there are some good and some bad things in there. I'll have it linked in the corner and down below in the description box so you can check it out after this video. This is supposed to be a medium buildable foundation that gives a luminous second skin finish, and there are all kinds of hydrating, plumping things in here. If you like hydration, this has some hydration in it. So this has a Hydrobounce complex that gives 5 times more hydrating than traditional hyaluronic acid. It's also got sugar-derived squalane, which is a lightweight mega moisture that locks hydration into skin, and it's got polyglumatic acid that delivers immediate and long-term plumping benefits to your skin. So you have a lot of hydration and plumping going on in this bottle. You do need to shake this to activate the formula. That is very important. Now, of course, they launched the brush at the same time. It does apply nice and easily with the brush, fingers, or a sponge. I prefer a dry sponge because it doesn't shear out the product as much as a damp sponge. I would say the coverage of this is light to, I would say just over medium. I don't think it goes much over medium. It evens the skin tone nicely and feels extremely lightweight for a serum foundation. Sometimes serum foundations can feel a little wet, you know, especially if you get oily in your T-zone. Now, I was really surprised at the initial finish of this right after it was applied, after I set my makeup. I felt like it was dewy and radiant, but I didn't feel like I looked completely wet, completely drenched, especially based on the ingredients and the claims. It looked like a natural, flattering finish, and it smoothed my pores really nicely. However, once my oils start to mix with this, the dew comes out. It gets pretty dewy. For those of you that have combination and oily skin, I don't think this is going to be your jam. If you have normal to dry skin, you may really love this for a serum foundation. Now, having said that, it still lasted really nicely on my skin. I keep saying, especially for a serum foundations, sometimes, especially in my T-zone areas that get shine breakthrough, serum foundations break down really quickly. And even in this area here, I didn't have that issue even without a primer. So I was really impressed with the longevity. It looked really pretty. It just gets a little too glowy for me in my hot, humid environment with the oil shine breakthrough that I get. Now when I combine it with my new favorite primer, hang on. I just shared more about the Glow Recipe Strawberry BHA Pore Smooth Blur Drops in my March favorites and fails. This is really great for absorbing shine, but being light like a lotion. It absorbs right in your skin and it doesn't affect how foundation applies over it. Foundation doesn't stick to it. You know how that can happen with some mattifying primers? This is really nice. When I combine these, I get less oil breakthrough, but it's still pretty dewy. This is just a really dewy foundation. If that's your thing, I think you'll like it because it lasts a long time. If you have normal to dry skin, I think this is really nice. It's just not my personal preference, but I definitely think that there are people out there that are going to really like this one. I included 2 foundations in my latest Amazon must-haves video, and this was one of them, and I also think it's very underrated. This is the Mally Stress Less Performance Foundation. So this retails for $38 for 1 ounce. There are 7 shades. I'm in the shade Beige. This is alcohol and fragrance free, and there are no animal-derived ingredients. This is supposed to improve the look of fine lines and wrinkles and de-stress your skin so you look flawless and carefree all day. And it's supposed to give medium to full coverage and feel lightweight all day long. The texture is fairly runny, but it applies and blends out beautifully, easily, quickly, and meshes with my skin really beautifully. I would say the coverage is medium, buildable up to medium full, maybe a little bit over that depending on how I apply it, how I build it, and it feels really lightweight. This is smoothing and flattering with a natural finish. I feel like my skin looks good when I wear this. I just got completely interrupted. Let's see if I can remember where I left off. So this lasts really well on me whether I wear a primer or don't. Now, if I wear a primer, I barely have to blot all day, maybe once or twice. If I don't wear a primer, I might have to blot 2 or 3 times, but it's been pretty hot here, so that's pretty good. So I will get some shine breakthrough with this, but it doesn't break the makeup down and it just looks pretty all day, just naturally pretty. I feel like it would work really well for all skin types to give you that medium to medium full coverage that looks natural and not heavy, just for every day. It's not a foundation we hear about a lot. It's kind of under the radar. I'm really glad I tried it. This was a hit for me in this foundation roundup. Will you be trying or have you tried any of the foundations I shared with you today? Let me know in the comments down below. About half were good and half not so good for me. I'm already working on my next foundation roundup right now. You can see other foundations I've reviewed in my other foundation roundups here. Check them out if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're not already. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.